All right, guys, we're back with Baldur's Gate 3. It is such a great game. It had to have 2 segments. This game has really blown up, especially with what has it been out, like a week and a half, 2 weeks now?
Yeah, it was like August 3rd it came out, so 10 days.
10 days. Amazing.
Today.
It is, at the time of this recording, the peak player count is 814,466 players. Currently, players are 789, 280.
So 99,000.
It is pretty close to its peak. It is now the second top most played game on Steam charts, and it is only gaining traction. I think the publisher or somebody helping Larian Studios with getting this game out said the best we can hope for is 100,000 players.
That was that was when they were prepping the IT team for server load.
Yeah. So no one knew that this was going to blow up. I didn't think this was going to blow up.
I didn't think so either.
I mean, Divinity 1, Divinity 2, great games. We really enjoyed them. I don't even think their peak was like this. With the beta coming out, I mean, it was fine. It was cool. People liked it. I think it got some pretty good reviews, but I didn't think that it would. Like, it is now a mass market. So people love D&D. People love games like this. I think people love stories like this because this is like a Mass Effect in my opinion. So I think people are ready to experience something like that and something different because this isn't full of microtransactions. This is like purely for the player. It is a passion project that's started in 2017. These guys originally went to Wizards of the Coast and were like, let us make Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
They're like, who are you guys? You're nobody. No, you're not doing it. So like, fine, we'll create our own Baldur's Gate like game called Divinity 2. They did that. They proved themselves. And that's what they've been working towards. And now we have this amazing game that everyone's talking about, which is crazy is that there are game devs who, for the most part, don't like this game. They like this game, but they're worried that this is going to change the standards for all these other AAA games going forward.
Yeah.
And I think it should, in my opinion, because this is something that, I mean, the numbers speak for itself. I mean, look at all the games that have come out in the past 5-10 years. We keep talking about, they keep getting really shitty reviews. Overwatch 2 recently launched on Steam. It is now like the top worst game reviewed on Steam right now. Because why? Because it's full of microtransactions. They lied. They had this whole perception put out there what they're going to do, and it
Battle Pass.
Yeah, Battle
all this
Pass
stuff. Everyone's gonna love it.
Yeah, people don't want that. We don't want those games anymore. Like, it's just, they're hollow, shallow games that just try to milk people. And I think because of Baldur's Gate 3, now everyone's kind of freaking out because no one's really challenged it. Mm-hmm. I feel like the standard that's been set recently, with you just try to milk the community and the content is somewhat there, and we're going to hold back content and then release it later, and we're going to charge you for it.
Yeah.
And now, go ahead.
So the title of this segment is basically Baldur's Gate 3
is the kryptonite of the game industry.
Okay.
Because they're worried they're going to have to change and actually put in some time to it.
Put in some work.
So one of the more prominent people that come out and mention something about Baldur's Gate and try to do some damage control, in my opinion, but others might think differently, is Written Nelson on Twitter or X. Oh my God, so stupid. All right, he says, like a lot of people, I'm deeply excited about what the lovely folks at Larian accomplished with Baldur's Gate 3, but I want to gently, preemptively push back against players taking that excitement and using it to apply criticism or a quote-unquote raised standard to RPGs going forward.
So that's why we're talking about this.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
There's more. 1 second. I got to find. This is all scattered a bit.
Yeah.
You can't separate a game from a process used to build it. So let's look at what Larian is taking into the development and the final version of the game. And there's more. There's 10 tweets. Or X's.
That's all horseshit. That's just a bullshit excuse.
Yeah.
That's like full bullshit excuse.
Okay, 1, dev cycle stretching back to 2017. 2 massive games and their definitive editions worth of tech and institutional knowledge to draw from. 3, super successful early access period lasting 3 years, providing crucial community feedback, bug hunting, and cash flow. 4, over 400 developers and 7 different offices around the world, not including outsourcing partners. 5, the licensing brand and the world of one of the largest entertainment IPs in the world, D&D, and the apex of its popularity with the rise of the actual play movement and a movie. This is a small, incomplete list. Larian is coming into this game swinging with a gigantic weight of expectations to deal with, but they're also doing it with a immense amount of direct experience, resources, specialty tooling, etc., at their backs. As a TLDR, in an era of mega games, Baldur's Gate 3 is one of the largest attempted build by a specialty group of people using mature tech specially built to make the specific game, reinforced by individual mass player feedback and market validation ahead of its launch. There's more. This is not a new baseline for RPGs. This is an anomaly. Trying to do the same thing in the same way, especially without the same advantages, could kill an entire group of studios. If they go as big or bigger with the next title, Larian themselves could die. That's the risk and reward of the mega game. We are an industry dangling elephants over cliffs, pointing at the ones that don't collapse under their own weight as indictments to the ones that do. So please celebrate the achievement represented by Baldur's Gate 3. It looks like a massive amount of effort is about to pay off in a big way for one of the brightest voices in the medium. But if you shout that every RPG should be like this going forward, you have no excuse. You've not just missed the point. You've created the expectations and conditions to ensure your favorite creators may never be able to give you the thing you love ever again.
Dude, why even say anything?
So basically,
right?
This is why go ahead.
No, go ahead. No. Like,
I just feel like this is a cop-out because the way that the game industry has turned into is a huge money cash grab that when these honestly, across all industries, I feel like we've gone into a sprint to the finish line to make as much money as possible, get as rich as possible, become as big as possible. When, especially video game companies, it should be a marathon. Like, you should develop stuff over time and build upon that. And I feel like because people know, these devs and publishing houses know that we want certain things, they pull it back. They charge us money to get those things back. Like in Fallout 76, there was like, you want a bigger stash? Well, you can buy it now to hold all your stuff in. Y'all remember that? Okay, yeah. So here we have a game, people who have strong focus, which a lot of the games now don't have a strong focus. They keep losing their lead people over and over and over again. Like Mass Effect Andromeda lost its lead like 4 or 5 times. They kept leaving. Kaplan left Overwatch 2. Whether it's incompetence, bad leadership, probably from the top, the game industry is in a pretty bad rut. We have a few gyms here and there, and now we have an independent company who's leading the charge, meaning like this is what games are supposed to be. This is what games are always supposed to be. This is what always has driven the medium forward. Because we look at movies and they're amazing experiences. We come to video games because we get to interact with those movies in ways that we could never hope for in a movie, and it has propelled storytelling in a positive direction. So, let me ask y'all some questions. Let me pull up those questions.
Okay. You have anything to say on all that yet?
Yeah, I do, but I don't know if I want to say it yet.
Okay.
You want to wait for the question?
We've talked about some of this before.
Okay.
Like scope creep.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a good point to bring up. So if you want to bring that up, I think we could dive into that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I'll mention just kind of high level I'm thinking because
okay, go ahead.
On one end, there's this whole, when we first started talking about this, I was like, I agree. This is like a game that has shown that if you make a really good game, it's it's going to win out the love of fans, and it's going to build that trust. And I like that aspect of it for sure. But to what the quotes you just said kind of changed my perspective a little bit, in that I don't disagree with some of what they said. Like the one comment about this game is an anomaly, I think that's actually true, because there is a lot of factors that play into this being the success that it is. If this game had come out 10 years ago when D&D was the nerdy thing to do, I don't think it would have done as well. If the D&D movie hadn't come out yet, I don't think it would have done as well. If Larian wasn't working on it wouldn't have done as well. All that to be said, there's a lot of factors beyond it being a great game that do play into its critical success that it hits so quickly. Because like if you just brought this game out and like D&D wasn't the thing it is now, you just said, hey, Baldur's Gate 3 is out, a lot of people, unless they're like diehard D&D people, because I didn't know Baldur's Gate was part of D&D until like I read about this, the fact that Larian was doing this. So not everybody's going to know what that is. But beyond that, it's definitely something that only a D&D kind of experience can achieve everything that's happening here, because there's so many rules that have already been made over 25 years of D&D that led to this game happening. So it's kind of like Starfield coming out saying like this game is 30 years in the making. Because if you brought this out 20 years ago, Starfield out 20 years ago, it wouldn't have been possible. The technology wasn't there, the AI and all these different things hadn't happened yet. But now this is a game that they can finally make this game happen. But this is a hard ass game to make, because there's branching pathways all over the place.
Yeah.
Can a God of War, can a Mass Effect, can all, like not every game can do what this game pulled off.
Right.
Because there's so many other factors that can play into it. So I do kind of see the fact that there's a little bit of an anomaly, but there's a lot of lessons to be learned from this.
Right.
In the sense of the money we were talking about. It's like, spend less on battle passes, spend less on skins, spend less on all this bullshit content that has no substance, and focus more on like making a game with a great story and branching narratives. It doesn't have to have 10,000 endings, but it can have a little bit. But all that to be said, it's like, I see where the devs are coming from. They don't want this to be the new level of standard, because this is a shit ton of work to make this game like this happen. Yeah. And it's a big gamble. It's a big risk. And they have a D&D property to back up that risk to make it happen. Whereas if you bring out a brand new IP, you can't. That's why Marvel became such a big deal. It's like they can take a big risk on Marvel because everybody loves Marvel. But if you're like, let's make a brand new IP that nobody's ever heard of, and you do the same level of newness or whatever, like you may not be able to do that, because there's no guarantee that will hit.
I didn't know what Baldur's Gate was either when it came out. I was like, oh, Larian Studios doing a game. That's awesome.
And did you ever connect it with D&D when you heard about it?
No, I didn't.
That's the thing. I don't think D&D helped this at all. I don't think the D&D movie or anything like that is getting people hyped, because even the D&D movie wasn't even D&D. It was just a story. It was a story that was played out, and they could have named that movie something totally different, and it was still did fine. You know,
you can call this fantasy RPG,
yeah,
and then have similar things, which all fantasy has similar things.
And that's my thing about this game. It's like I didn't even realize there was D&D elements in this game until the game actually came out.
Yeah.
I didn't play the beta. I didn't hear anything much about it. I know a lot of people were telling me, oh, there's D&D mechanics in there, which got the D&D nerds riled up. But that D&D area is still such a very super small percentage, no matter what. So it being an anomaly, I agree with you to a point.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think what they did, they made an outstanding game.
Yeah.
And they knew what they were doing, and they took time and had a goal to do, and they knocked that goal out of the water.
It's an anomaly because you have one guy you have a team that has grown over time. So like they didn't just have 400 people right off the bat.
Yeah.
They've grown over time. They know exactly what they're trying to create. They know exactly what they're trying to do. They have a goal and a mission and a path forward in mind that other people don't have. So that is an anomaly right now. Like we don't have these games. Like Mass Effect had a mission and a goal in mind. We're going to get to Mass Effect 3. We're going to have these expansive arcs that can go off in different directions and bring it together at the end.
Yeah.
And that's what EA and BioWare like built. Like that was their thing. Creating these awesome stories with fun gameplay. And then you get Anthem.
You don't talk shit about Anthem.
Then you get Anthem, and it's like, oh my god, these
Cash
people.
grab.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like you go from like this great studio who has like all of this awesome repertoire, a good catalog of successful games, and then it's like, what happened to Anthem?
Yeah.
They try to change the mold. They didn't stay in their lane.
Yeah.
They try to change their lane, keeping certain elements. I feel like with Larian, we're going to see more of these story-based games, and they're not tied to a major publishing company.
Yeah. Well, also look how they promoted Anthem. It was supposed to be the Destiny killer. You knew what they were going after. You knew what goal they were trying to hit. With this game, they had a whole separate goal. They weren't trying to reset the standard or anything like that. They were trying to focus in on making a great experience and a great game. Unlike Diablo, we clearly know what their goal was. Have a battle pass, have microtransactions. I mean, the story's good.
Build a game that has this massive grind that is going to keep
never
you paying more money.
Keep you on screen time.
And it launched fairly well. I think a lot of people were excited. They had high hopes for it, and then you get that season 1 patch and launch, boom, just in the dumps. People are leaving it. People don't want to play anymore.
I think
like
it's just
ruined it.
I think it's different viewpoints on what a good game should be.
Yeah.
I felt like I agree with Brett. Yes, it is a huge anomaly, like how well this game is doing and like how great it is. It could have been a train wreck, but if it came out 10 years ago, I kind of have to disagree with you. I think this game would have been phenomenal.
Well, I mean, the other Baldur's Gate did great.
Yeah.
And I guess it's a cult classic. I mean, people seem to know them.
Yeah.
And we're excited about the third one.
Yeah.
So I never heard about it. So I assume it did something good for its time. And I guess it was D&D then too. So
I didn't realize it was like connected with D&D at all.
Yeah.
To be honest, I didn't realize.
I assumed it was because you saw the mind flares in the announcement cinematic, which was really cool.
It definitely helps a lot for a lot of the people, I think, because like for us, it's like, I mean, we're casual gamers. We're not
we're not
that
like
stuff as much. But there's people out there, like everything I heard about this game was like, this is D&D in a game.
Yes,
and that was the pitch that was spread quickly, like really, really quickly to get to a lot of people that love that D&D experience or love that CRPG experience, that D&D is the ultimate CRPG experience if it's made into a game, but nobody's ever been able to do it. Really.
Right.
But we did finally get to that point to where they can kind of pull that off. And the other thing too is that I think is really smart here is that you can tell playing this how passionate they are about D&D because they stay true to what's good about D&D and take away some of the stuff that's a little bit more frustrating, like all the different dice rolls, that they automate during the combat system and stuff like that. I think it really, the large part of it, what the devs should be afraid of is that this is a team that was able to prove that if you have the clear vision and direction, you stay hyper focused on that.
Yeah.
You will make something great.
Who can direct you the whole way.
But yeah, I think there's just a lot of that out there that you have these publishing houses that they
need to make money.
They're not creatives. They don't understand the creative process.
Battle Royale is popular. They make money. Can't you just make this into Battle Royale?
Yeah.
All right,
and
go.
It's frustrating because there's probably not enough strong enough people pushing back on those leaders to be like, yo, like, fuck you, like we're gonna do this instead,
Honestly,
like,
it might be why so many leads to some of these major games just end up leaving
and starting their own company.
Yeah, because they don't say why they're leaving or what happened behind the decision. They're just like, oh, it's time for me to leave. You have some lawyer writing you a goodbye thank you letter thing, and then you just leave. Start your own company.
Yeah, they're doing smaller teams, which they can control more of that, creative process, and hopefully, I mean, I'll be really curious to see how Judas works out from Ken Levine, because that was the exact reason that he left Irrational and went off. Like he burned some bridges there, but he's building. I mean, this is a much tinier team than what he was working towards, and he also could have the other thing with the publishers too is they see success and they're gonna Michael Bay the shit out of it and be like, let's just keep pumping out more of the same thing. And creatives don't want to do that. They want to do something different and new every time. Right. And you can't be building a Call of Duty every year for some creatives. Some are okay with it, but a lot of them aren't that way. It's look at Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3's teaser. I mean, it's freaking the same shit we've been seeing for you're fighting some Russian dude that's a bad guy, and it's like
That's
here we
every.
go again.
How can you improve on that?
You
know,
can't. But that's what I'm saying. It's like that's why you got to do something different. You know.
I'm Russian. I'm bad. I kill you.
Yeah.
So questions. Is Baldur's Gate 3 a once in a generation masterpiece that we'll never see again? And to preface that, I understand. I don't expect other game companies to come out with something this vast and massive and all these mechanics involved and so polished, so clean. I mean, heck, we're just glad a game works when it comes out these days. Like, yeah, it can have bugs and barely playable, but by God, we can freaking play it. So
Fortnite's going to have it next month.
Baldur's Gate 3?
Yeah, they're going to have a Baldur's Gate 3.
Dude, that would be awesome.
They're going to rip it off just like they did with Among Us, PUBG, and the rest of them. They're just going to rip it off and just have Fortnite shit.
I love it. I love it.
That'd be
Yeah,
hilarious.
is this a once in a generation masterpiece?
I don't think so. I mean, because if you look at this year, I mean, we've had Tears of the Kingdom, which to a lot of people is
Sure.
a once in a generation
That was-
masterpiece. We love Remnant too. It's not a masterpiece, I don't think, but it's a pretty fucking good game.
Yeah.
And then now we have this, so it's like we're not going to have probably to this level, but this is I think there's a lot to be learned from this for sure.
Yeah. I think it's teetering on that masterpiece. I mean, we're not close. We're close to the end of the year. But
I hope I can finish it. I probably won't.
No, you probably
There's
won't.
so much content.
But
in it.
I think it's teetering on that. I think, yeah, that's what I think. I think it's close to that.
So should game companies up their game to reach something like Baldur's Gate 3, which is just quality content? Like you can tell there's quality and there's so much content. Or are we demanding too much from game devs these days?
So
'Cause that's been brought up before.
Yeah,
Like, we're demanding too much. We want these games to be massive and huge and like 175 hours or this is the same thing. Yeah, 175 hours.
So, like I was telling you guys before, I'm diving more into Final Fantasy 16, and I'm doing like these random quests that mean nothing. It's just fetch quests and stuff like that. It just doesn't feel like there's any passion in this, and it's just trying to tell a story, but how they're doing it is the wrong way.
We got to reach X amount of hours.
Yeah,
Throw some
unlike Ghost of
BS in
Tsushima, when I was doing side mission, I felt like there was a purpose, there was a meaning behind
Great
it.
character development on those side quests.
Amazing character, and you felt connected with it. Playing those two games, they're not similar, but let's go with God of War. God of War is a prime example because it's very linear. There's still an open area. Doing side missions in that felt important. It wasn't just a fetch quest. There was storytelling within it. Some of it was kind of like there was a little bit of fetching, but there was still stuff happening gameplay wise.
Yeah.
But it was developing of my character, Kratos, along with his son. There is zero. I don't feel a development with these side quests that I'm doing. So, yes, I think game companies need to look at games like God of War, Baldur's Gate 3, Ghost of Tsushima, and Red Dead Redemption 2. They need to see like what's the overarching thing that we're doing here.
Yeah.
And like you said, Anthem, their main goal was to kill Destiny. They failed at it, as we know. They need a better main goal to just tell a great story with the characters you have and follow through and have everything come in between. Especially like have some commitment to these like little side quests. Feel like there's a purpose, either gaining some knowledge and make the knowledge stick instead of just like go feed these people. I had a mission, go feed these people. Go grab bread and wine for these people.
Good
There
stuff.
you go.
It's good
It
stuff.
was 5 feet away from him. I grabbed it, gave it to him. They said some things. Oh, no
Oh,
one's
man.
ever given us food. Okay, well you can get food now. Okay,
Congratulations.
that's it. Wow, mission accomplished. You get XP, and I'm like, are you kidding? The food was right there. I could be killing people, you know.
Yeah.
Saving lives, killing people.
So that I feel like game companies should look at these other bigger games and these other very successful games and take like stuff from it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they should. I don't know if it's necessarily up their game, but I think there just needs to be some reprioritization of what's important. So it's like, you gotta, right now, the important thing is building these battle passes, building these skin freaking machines that just pump out skins all day. Give your workers something fulfilling to do.
Yes.
Like, I think if you have somebody that's like built that their job as a 3D artist, like you can build a bunch of the same skins over and over, or you could build these amazing new worlds and levels and like new art and stuff for like a brand new area that then gives your creative writers the ability to build some new creative story that can take you there and then bring out DLC. Like what happened the days of like all the good old DLC where it's just like you buy a pass and you got like 5 awesome story DLC campaigns. Like I'm okay to pay extra money for that stuff because it's adding new value to the game. A skin doesn't add
And that's
a damn worth of value to my experience.
and that's what you need to do. Now we're in the world of AI. You need to have AI creating the skins.
Yeah,
And have your like actual people
If you need
creating-
that,
Yeah, if you
go
need
for
that,
it.
instead of wasting your creative people to make something, use AI to create a skin and have your creator like create something beautiful and amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's gonna make your people happier ultimately, and you know you'll see here it also is successful. I mean, this game is super successful, and it's because you can see the passion in every step of the game, which is really really cool.
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, you don't see it very often.
Yeah,
No, you don't.
It's crazy.
It's a rare. I mean, we're seeing it more often though. Like God of War Ragnarok, Remnant 2,
true.
this game. There was another game that came
Yeah.
out recently that was just like
As much as like Last of Us got hated on, honestly, I think that was actually looking back, that wasn't a bad game. There was some story stuff I didn't agree with, but I think it was really. I mean, there was some passion there. Yeah,
The rematch. Oh,
Part
okay.
2, yeah.
Part 2. Yeah.
yeah. Ghost of Tsushima, obviously,
Oh.
huge passion shown there.
I mean, there's a reason why PlayStation is where it's at right now, or at least early on, why it was dominating Xbox, PlayStation 4, and up to early PlayStation 5, is because they're coming out with these games that people enjoy. Like people have to play them. You can only you used to only be able to play them on those consoles, so like you had to get a PlayStation if you wanted these single story awesome games,
Right.
that you can suck your life into, play multiple times. I mean, not as expansive as Baldur's Gate 3, but still, it's like I feel like that's what PlayStation, that's their bread and butter, and that's what people came to. That's why it was on top for a long time.
Yeah.
So,
Good shit.
yeah. I'm
Baldur's
surprised
Gate.
I didn't bring up scope creep. We always talk about scope
I
creep.
know, yeah. Well,
But
I
I
mean,
just
in
think
this
it's
case,
scope creep.
Scope creep is like when you set up with like an objective to like build a game that's this.
Okay.
And then as you're building the game, you're like, oh, this is a cool idea. Oh, this is a cool idea. And you start adding that stuff to your schedule,
whole thing.
which creates scope creep, which then costs more money, creates more time, and ultimately leads to a lot of shit falling apart.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, I build, at my job when we do websites and stuff like that, we pitch them of like, okay, here's the price you're going to pay. It's going to take us 8 months to get there. Here's what we're building. And then we start getting into it and they see the website and they're like, oh man, it'd be really cool if we did this, or it'd be really cool if we did this. And it's like, okay, we can maybe add that. Oh, maybe add that. Next thing you know, you've like added 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 10 weeks onto your schedule and an extra $10,000 that you should have made, but you didn't because of the scope creep. Or you do, but you add that money into it and then all of a sudden like your budget's blown and then everything's falling apart.
I thought y'all were talking
Yeah.
about a game.
No.
I'm very confused.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
The game, games that are bloated for no reason at all. Like,
But it's
Valhalla.
Valhalla, I was about to say the
so
same thing.
bloated.
So bloated. Oh my god.
But it's very common
Still
with
love
things
it.
like this where you're like, they
Yes.
build a game for 5 to 6 years.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't imagine how much these micro ideas that pop up that's like, oh yeah, let's add that. Let's throw that in there.
Just throw this in there.
And then it just balloons into something crazy. So that's where that focus comes in, where it's like, you gotta lay out the objectives of like, here's the game we're gonna build. And if this game changes in any way, it's either gonna be DLC or we're gonna restructure the schedule and add more money and then we can rebuild it.
Yeah.
But we gotta be focused on what it is that we're building.
I mean, this is what's happening to Skull and Bones right now. Like, how many times did that game change?
Yeah.
Getting new
Is it out yet?
creative directors. No.
They got pushed back into 2024 already.
Oh
so
man.
It's going to fail if it comes out. But yeah, like that's the perfect example.
Yeah.
Like, it keeps going in different directions. No one knows what it's supposed to be.
it's also
mean,
fascinating. Like
It's still going to come out. Like, it's going to
Yeah.
come out and it's
Yeah.
going to do awful
yeah.
because they have to be like, look,
It's
we
a
got something
7 out of
coming
10
out.
game for sure. If
Yeah.
that.
Well, those people can't. I mean, the CEOs can't go to the board of can't go to the board and be like, yeah, we're gonna cancel this game we spend all this money on. Like, it has to come out just so they can be like, we're doing something. Don't fire me and don't take my pay away.
They can.
I feel like
I
that's
mean,
how it. I feel
Overwatch
like that's how it
did
happens.
that when they were making that MMO, or
so
Blizzard.
that's when Blizzard was like Blizzard, and they could
Yeah.
do that. Like that.
Yeah.
That is what's so great about being your own independent company.
Yeah.
You can make the decisions. Because apparently Microsoft wanted to buy out Larian Studios, which I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I'm just glad that they're able to actually like just stick to their guns and be like, we're not going to get bought out. Because we see what's been happening over the years.
Yeah, I think it's smart. I mean, I don't want Microsoft to buy everybody.
I know. Stop it.
They've already bought enough. Like, I love that they're buying some stuff and they're hopefully helping them out, but we can't have them buy everything because once they own everything, it's like, well, they're dictating. I mean, if they start doing something bad, and you're like, well, we're screwed now.
Exactly. Yeah, we're stuck with whatever they give us. So we don't want that. We don't need that. I hope this is a big change for the gaming industry, but we have to voice our opinion with our dollars. So like if a game comes out and we know it's riddled with all these things we hate, you really need to think twice about supporting these companies and these games. And I know it's kind of tough because we like some of these studios for past games, but if we keep supporting them, they're going to keep giving us absolute garbage. So we need to support. And I think people are saying, if we want to make money, we need to be like Larian Studios and have quality content and have good directors, have a good path forward, good leadership.
Right.
So, but we'll see what happens. I guarantee you nothing's going to change for at least 5 years. But hopefully this is the spark.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Beginning of the year, we were having a lot of shit coming out, and then it started to pick up, and we're going to continue to hopefully have a lot of good stuff later this year.
That's true.
It's been, all in all, it's been more positive than it's been negative. We've had a Redfall, and we've had a Golem, but then we've also had, a freaking Remnant. Then we've had a Remnant, and then we've had a Baldur's Gate now, and Tears of the Kingdom. So there's been some good shit.
Harry Potter. We can't forget Harry Potter.
Hogwarts Legacy. That's right.
Yeah.
Dude, that's in the way back burner. After playing some of these games, I'm like, that's not even a contender on anything at the moment.
Which is crazy because it's so good. That's the thing. It's just like
it's okay.
It was a great game.
Now it's just okay.
Wow, that went from
me. It's just
we're talking about
okay.
it's going to be game of the year.
Yeah,
it was
it's just okay, my dude.
I mean, it was game of the year back then, but now it's just like so much has come out.
So much shit in that game. It's just too much, and I'm just like, all right, cool.
Yeah,
I played with my wand. Now I want to shoot a fucking gun.
Well, you got that.
Yeah, I do.
So let us know what y'all think about the game industry's. Is this the game industry's kryptonite? Is this going to set a new precedence? Should game companies up their game? Will we see more Baldur's Gate-like experiences in the future that just like blow our minds with amazingness? Will Starfield be that game?
No.
Whoa.
I don't think it will be.
Bold, man.